I'm gonna say this. Like I remember you got me, you and your brother, but obviously mostly you. Like you guys got me into Nirvana. I was into like by the time we had met, I was already into like classic rock. It was basically like the only thing I was into. But I was into more of the real like 70s and 80s
Yeah, you
type of
were.
classic
You
rock.
yeah, like you got me into like the hair metal or like the 70s and all
Yeah,
that
the
kind of
fucking
stuff, like Guns N' Roses or
yeah, yeah.
but then I was like again listening to like the 90s
The
grunge or
90s,
the
yeah.
alternative, like
Yeah.
what my dad put us onto, and my dad's a drummer, so he was like just again I between that Puddle of Mud, POD, Linkin Park,
It was an
it
era
was
for
like
drummers as well. I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie.
especially like again like Korn,
Yeah.
like that new metal era. Like it wasn't just grunge; it was like grunge, alternative, and new metal. Like those were the three
Yeah.
genres that
Yeah, because
really influenced us.
the only way you would find some wild drummer or something like that, and this is just generally speaking. Obviously,
Right.
there's wild musicians in every era and every year of across most instruments, but generally speaking, you don't normally think about like 60s through 80s as like an era for drummers. You see it as more of like the 50s and 60s like singers, and then 70s and 80s singers slash guitarists. Like it was all about the guitar solos, the speed of the guitar, the strength of the
Yeah,
guitar. And then it wasn't until
drummers were like unsung heroes.
yeah, and it
Like
wasn't until like people like Phil Collins, especially because he was a drummer,
right.
throughout the 90s. The 90s, my opinion, I could be wrong, but it's for me it was like such an era for drummers. Like it was like the
It really
singers,
was,
then
though.
guitarists, then the drummers.
You know.
Yeah, because it's what when you have a new genre like grunge type of stuff, it sometimes requires new rhythms, and in new rhythms you have to have some sort of spice in drumming. So it's like
Right.
that's why it mattered to have a good drumming.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was always into just music with good beats.
Right.
So what does that mean, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, right? Like,
Yeah,
if he's like, tapping like this on like the steering wheel, like, windows down, it's like 7 a.m, like
Yeah,
brisk,
yeah.
cold. Like, oh man, like I'm just getting
You hear it
flashbacks
now.
already. It's like, again, yeah, those were the days. But again, those three genres, it was grunge, alternative rock, and new metal. Those were like the three genres that, like that post grunge, yeah, so
I will
influential.
say your brother also got me into
He's more of the I like hip hop too, but yeah, like again, he's that old school hip hop head.
because from my perspective, talking to both of you, it was like you were outputting the rock side of it, and then he was outputting the hip hop side of it. So I had like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
When I was pulling up to the crib and like y'all was playing music and stuff, so it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.